Howdy, this is Sailor the Piper Man, Piper the Sailor Man, real early in the morning. It's about 4 something in the morning, and I couldn't sleep. In and out of my sleep, I decided to make some black coffee, smoking this old Peterson. And I just want to say something. I have no part in the game, but as you know, out of respect, I'm gonna say it like this: her, Her Majesty, the Queen, died. She had a long reign from all my life. She had been queen. All my life, since I can remember, she's been the Queen of England. And all I saw in the media was about her and Prince Charles. Once in a while, Prince Philip, her husband, would show up. And I didn't know much. At that time, when I was a young man, much about the crown of England, other than that the first Queen Elizabeth perpetuated slavery. Her power grew. She had her Sir Walter Raleigh. She made tobacco smoking popular in England and cigar smoking, and you know the history of how tobacco got to England and to Spain, and Spain introduced it to Turkey. And you know, they developed Latakia, the Balkan states developed their brand of tobacco. And the reason why tobacco expanded the way it did was because of the British Empire at the time. That being said, wherever the Brits went, they smoked pipes, and then the indigenous people there saw the British smoke pipe, and they wanted to do the same thing. They smoked pipe, cigars, and what have you. Australia, New Zealand, Canada. That's the gist that I understood the monarchy. I was very ignorant to the truth. That being said, I did read about the long history of the bitter struggle between the Irish and the British Empire. The Irish wanted to gain its independence, and I recall in my teen years the violence between Northern and Catholic Ireland and Protestant Ireland, and the freedom fighters were called terrorists and were bombing. And so many things happened in the 60s and 70s, you know. And so the British were very harsh on the Irish. They have always been harsh. And that was done under her watch and Parliament. And so that's what I remember. And if you go on Twitter and you go on a lot of these chat rooms, you'll find a lot of the Irish are damn happy that she's gone. And you might say to yourself, oh, that's disrespectful, or they shouldn't be doing that. What's it to you? How somebody expresses himself. You know, when you dead, people will then tell the truth about you. You know, and the Irish, I got some Irish ancestors who were in the 16th century, were taken captured and taken prisoners by English and made to serve on warships. Do I take it personally? No, I don't take it personal. It wasn't me. Those are things that happened in the past. They were able to gain their freedom. You find, if you study well, that a lot of Irish and a lot of Scottish came to America to fight the British on behalf of the American colonies. That's a story that's not told. How Scottish, how Spanish, here from Puerto Rico, and Irish descent went to fight as soldiers in the Continental Army. Not just Americans, but other people that had a great disdain for King George's England and monarchy. Just like you get all these mercenaries fighting on behalf of Ukraine. You know, we it seems like the human race doesn't like any particular nation to monopolize and become so powerful that it threatens other people's freedom. So these Irish that are talking now are descendants of those that were oppressed in the 70s. They don't know any better. They don't know any better. The oppression didn't happen to them, but happened to their ancestors. I recall my uncle telling me how harsh the English were in World War II against the Irish, even in soldiering. But my uncle said the English treated him very well when he was in England. I'm talking about when the raids were going and the war over London, over England, the British Air War. My uncle was there. My uncle was there. He was 19, 20. He saw it all. He saw London get bombed by the Germans and how the Irish helped. Nazism was a threat to everybody. Jew, Gentile didn't make a difference. Nazism was very much that fascist. If they weren't stopped, probably America would be Nazi. Who knows? Alternative events. All of Europe would have been, if it wasn't for the Battle of Tours, all Europe would have been Islamic. Charles Martel, I think it's Charlemagne or Charles Martel, defeated Muslims, stopped them, and then Queen Isabella and her husband retook Spain. And you know, in war, harsh things happen on both sides. It doesn't make a difference. Who's to say who's right or wrong? She, Queen Elizabeth, Her Majesty, gained her power because her brother was chicken shit. He didn't want to be king. So she stepped up to the plate. In the post-war years, she helped England rise to prominence again. You got to give her some credit for that. Is she responsible for what her grandchildren do? See, you can teach a child correct, give them manners. And sooner or later, the child's going to decide for themselves how they're going to live their life. And we see the end results of that. I just think people are spoiled today. You know? You can help a child get his education and everything, you don't get a thank you anymore. Only after they've gone through. So I'm very fortunate that all my kids have written me letters saying thank you. All my kids except one. Thank you. You know, all my kids, they get along with each other, but my oldest son has not allowed me to see my grandchildren because I was a disciplinarian. I didn't let him do what he wanted to do. And he's always held that against me. And I had to, because behind him were 3 more kids that I had a father, had to raise, I had to feed, I had to discipline. And so I knew if I let him get away with stuff, the other kids are gonna follow suit. So I was very strong. But I gave him what he wanted. But that's how he feels. He sees the harsh side. I raised him up as a military. He didn't like that. He didn't like the fact that I didn't want him to listen to heavy metal music. He didn't like the fact that I took him to church. He didn't like the fact that I was stern as to who could be his friend and he could not. You know? Now he realizes that because now he has kids. He realizes in him wanting to rebel against my authority, his children are rebelling against his authority now. And my wife told him, okay, you see why your dad was stern, strong, and he didn't allow you to do, and he didn't favor you over the others? I never favored any of my kids. Not one. If I didn't have something to give all of them, none of them would get it. I ran a tight ship. And when they come to me now, they got great respect with me. I still talk to them stern to this day. Because fatherhood to me is a deciding factor. A woman could spread her leg and have a child, but as the man, I'm to give him dignity, moral ethics. You know, the good thing I did was I took each and every one out individually. Like, this Saturday is yours, next Saturday is yours, next Saturday is yours. They were always pitching to be the favorite, and I wouldn't have it. But I'm the first. I don't care you first. You're my first son. You're going to be the example. He ain't like that. So, getting back to Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth had tradition and had everything, and she was probably a little harsh on the kids, but they wouldn't be without law and order. And that's what this lawless society is lacking, law and order. Men don't want to be men. Men don't want to be fathers. And a young man is to be taught. You be respectful to a woman. You show etiquette to a woman, but you take no shit from a woman. You're the head and not the tail. They don't like that now. Feminists don't like that. I don't give a shit what feminine like or they don't like. I'm a man. Nobody has given me a helping hand. What I got, I earned. I worked for. And if you're my friend, I loyalty above everything else. You don't gotta like the way I look. You gotta be loyal. You don't have to like my philosophy. But I need people to tell me the truth about myself. And if you are not strong enough to talk to me straight man to man and tell me that I got to get my shit together in certain areas of my life, then I don't need you as a friend. A real true friend will tell you the truth about yourself. You're wrong, Miguel. Or you're right. I agree with you. Don't play me. And so she was a lot like that. I think the queen, and I would have great respect for her. But if we ever sat down and talked, I'm sure I would hear something, to be responsible for a nation, to be responsible for the stupidity of my child and my grandchildren exposing themselves, going out, womanizing. She had to deal with you never heard her go out and clubbing. You never heard of any affairs. Yet Diana and Prince Edward and their children all doing crazy stuff. Even her other son, I think it was the one that got caught up with all the female trafficking and abusing children. That's not her fault. People decide. So you're gonna hear a lot of things pro and negative against her. But I tell you what, she took a nation that was totally destroyed. Totally. And she helped build it back. To administrate. And she was a figurehead. And people talk about, well, she has all this money. So a lot of people got money. But they're not the head of a nation. They're not in control. And for a woman at her time to deal with all the male chauvinist bullshit that was going on in England, she was a tough cookie, man. That's all I gotta say. Did she rest in peace? I don't know if she believed in Christ or not. On that day, she'll stand before the good Lord. Just like you and I'm going to stand before the good Lord. I say this, we're not here to judge her. If you want to review her whole history, review it. I'm sure a lot of the detractors, now that she's gone, are going to tear into her, are going to be highly critical of her. And there are those who say beautiful things of her. You can't win in this life. Everybody going to like you. And everybody's going to respect you. And as a young person, you have to understand that. You got to stand. You got to keep your dignity. What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. Regardless of Black Lives Matter, regardless of all this BS that's happening today. That's it. Say to the piper, man. Piper the sailor, man. Just expressing my opinion. How I see it. God bless.